Stand-Up World Tour right here at Sunset Beach. So we have 4 guys that are some of the leading figures on the Stand-Up World Tour, but also just incredible athletes and personalities in general. They're all from one small place. It's a rock not far from here. You know, obviously we're all super happy to be here on Oahu's fabled North Shore, but our neighbor island, Maui, has certainly produced some champions. So tonight I would like to welcome Kai Lenny, Cody Kerbox, Connor Baxter, and Zane Schweitzer. Could you please join me on stage? So there we have it, 4 champions all in their own right. As the song said, that's an Iz song. Talking about the magic of Maui. What is it about Maui? Maybe one of you wants to start. There's something obviously in the water, because not only, I mean, you look across all the ocean sports, from surfing to windsurfing to kite surfing, and now obviously to stand-up paddling, of which most of you do all of them anyway. What is it about Maui that produces champions? Who wants to start there?
I mean, I'd say there's a bunch of things, but definitely just the conditions. It's such a wide variety. I mean, you wake up, you can surf, stand up, and then after that, midday, you know, the wind comes up, and then it's a windsurf or
Always an activity to do every day.
Yeah, you know, just to kind of throw it back a little bit, it's just so funny to think, you know, how we all started in the beginning together. Like, we knew each other since we were, like, pretty much toddlers, and I think, you know, to be at this stage and this point, and it's pretty amazing. I don't think neither one of us could have guessed that we would be kind of, you know, right in the front of this amazing sport called stand-up paddling, and it's just incredible that we've had the opportunities that we've had, and that we get to travel the world, and that, you know, the top 4, you know, best paddlers, both in racing and wave, are, you know, all from Maui, and we all know each other, and it's just pretty crazy, because I've had times when I've traveled where people are like, oh, do you know Connor, or do you really know Cody, or do you know Zane? And it's funny, I'm like, yeah, they live like, I know exactly where they live. They live like 15 minutes this way, oh, another half hour that way. And it's just so funny they trip out on that, because they're just like, wait, your greatest rivals, and you guys are like sometimes butting heads on the water and stuff, but you like all live in such a close proximity. How do you live with each other? And it's like, it's pretty funny. But, you know, kind of moving on from that, I think, you know, besides us being in the right place at the right time, I think the reason why Maui, out of all the other places in the world, is so good, you know, for upcoming athletes and stuff. And I think in our case is we had such good parents and such good mentors. You know, growing up on Maui, you have some of the best guys in the world doing all these different sports, and they're the best at it. Robbie Nash, you know, Laird Hamilton, Buzzy, Kerbox, Dave Kalama. I mean, the list goes on and on. So I think since we were so surrounded by it, we were always guided in the right path. And again, I think without a good support system, like your family and stuff, none of it would be possible. So, yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, you know, it's funny when you look back to the 80s, there was a group of Maui guys, again, who were leading the kind of charge in the sport of windsurfing, if you think back, and then into the sport of toe surfing.
Yeah, and just going off what you said, it's pretty funny, you know, thinking back. I remember, like, yeah, same thing. My dad would go out to Jaws, and like these guys all kind of were more into the windsurfing, and I kind of never really got hooked with it. I would go and do it a few times, but it never did it for me, and so I just stuck to shortboarding mostly, and you know, competed with all of them in shortboard events at Hokipa and Hana, Honolulu Bay, you know, all over the island, and it's, you know, I remember being little, and surfing Jaws was just seemed like something that, you know, I was gonna do. It was like just seemed like that was the normal thing to do. And even now, I like sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know, you know, it's kind of gnarly. And then I'll just see Kai or any of these guys paddling out or catching bigger waves, and I'm like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. So. You know, it's just been an amazing experience. You know, I've looked up to all these guys growing up, and yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Same question? Yeah, I mean, these guys basically said it all, but as far as, you know, having people to look up to, and of course, most of those people were our parents. Like you said, you know, they're all amazing athletes, and then having Robbie Nash, Dave Kalama, all those guys definitely helps, and especially now, you know, Dave have been surfing with a bunch and competing in a bunch of races with him, and he's just an overall super nice guy and has so much to share. And same with Robbie and all the other guys. That's the best part, you know. They're so willing to share, and even back to the first question, that's probably another good reason why, you know, Maui has such incredible athletes. It's just been passed down through family and friends.
Nice. Well, yeah, so obviously, you know, you guys are all like great friends growing up, but when it comes to the water, you're intense and fierce competitors. Maybe you can talk to us a little bit about switching off that friendship mode and having to, you know, you obviously face each other quite often and quite frequently in heats. How do you prepare yourselves for that? And you know, how does it feel going up against your mate? I mean, do you feel bad?
It definitely sucks because you always say good luck, but then right when that horn blows or this, you know, the race starts, totally switches off.
With all these guys since I was a little kid, you know, Kai's always had that, you know, competition mode. It's on 24/7, and that's it. That's, I think, a big part why he's has his world titles, and I want to hear from him about this actually. So I'm gonna pass it over.
Well, it's pretty interesting because, like, you know, we've been competing our entire lives between each other, and it's progressively gotten gnarlier and gnarlier. But, you know, just to not sugarcoat anything, I think, you know, from my perspective, and I think these guys can agree, it's like as soon as that horn blows, you literally just want to, you know, smash that other person. I mean, last season and last few seasons, just for example, between me and Connor, we've just been going at it so hard. And, you know, literally every race that I wanted to do, the only person I wanted to beat was Connor. I didn't care if I beat anybody else, but we had such a good rivalry going, and I think that's why, you know, I got faster. And, you know, it's just really funny because it wouldn't be racing or it wouldn't be good competition if you didn't have those rivalries. And I look back to, you know, a lot of in sports, and, you know, one that comes to mind is, you know, in Formula One, James Hunt versus Niki Lauda. That was a famous, you know, kind of duel back in the day. And I kind of look at that and take that as inspiration. But I think, you know, what I found out about this last year, you know, between me and him, for example.
And then I came up with this picture, and I think it was you, Connor, Zane, and Kai at the Ocean Games in 2007. And it's just so funny that, I mean, it's not even a decade later, but looking at how young you were now to then to how you are now, it's pretty crazy. Maybe, you know, you can each tell us how it all began for you and what was the first entry point for ocean sports and how, you know, how you've ended up to where you are.
Well, I'm sure it's the same for all of us up here. It happened before we could remember, with our parents taking us out in the water on top of the boogie board or on the front of their longboard with floats, and just enjoying the ocean from the first days of our life. And every day of my childhood, all my best memories are either in the ocean with my family and friends, or other than that, up in the mountains dirt biking with my dad. But we have a really special childhood, and like Kai was saying, a really special community on Maui, and a lot of great friends and competitors as well to always push us. And I guess for me, I fell in love with surfing first. Although, you know, competing since the age of 3 in surfing, longboard and shortboard, and got into windsurfing, of course, because it's a family thing for me. My dad's 18-time world champion, and my mother is also a world champion windsurfer, and my grandparents invented the sport and started it from ground up, and grandma was sewing the first sails, and grandfather coming up with the first events and putting the sport's potential. So I'm excited. It's a good time to be involved with it, and stoked to have such great friends surrounding me, and such a great tour to bring us to all these places around the world.
Yeah. So for me, I started surfing super young, and did it a little bit on and off, and probably didn't really want to start going surfing until I met this guy in the first grade, and then I'd go down and surf, and it was just a lot of fun. At those times you had someone to go surf with, and that's more fun. You're even then it's like, okay, whatever Kai was doing, I want to be doing on the waves. So I was always just trying to copy him basically, and luckily I was a good guy to try to copy. And anyway, it's funny because Kai would be like the one I would go surf with, and then I would go home or whatever, and these guys would go windsurfing, and I never knew how to do it. And it was like I would always go find other things to do, and then once stand-up kind of happened, actually once Kai won the first event at Sunset here, that's when I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I saw Connor and Zane were in the junior division. I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool. They're actually making it look kind of fun, and so got one of Kai's old boards from Nash to start learning on, and kind of just went from there. And it's been a really fun time. I never wanted to race either. I hated racing. For so long, I hated racing, and then, of course, these guys got to win the Battle of Paddle, and it's like, okay, well, if he can win it, then I can try to win it too. So I started race training with him, and I think the only reason I got faster so quickly is because I was just trying to keep up with him, and the only way to keep up with him is to choke down on the paddle. So I had to learned that one pretty quick, and it's just been a really fun time racing all these guys, and every time they do good, I want to do better. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same story as these guys. Grew up, body surfing and
I've gotten from the biggest wave I've ever paddled in at Jaws. Like the same feeling, but I still, think that first wave was probably even more thrilling and more exciting because it was such, the unknown, just like surfing big waves at Jaws. But at the same time, it was, the beginning of, what I knew was going to be what I wanted to do the rest of my life. 6 years old, started windsurfing. Actually, at 7 years old, I remember seeing Laird Hamilton doing a downwinder for the first time, and since I was obsessed with the strapped crew and Laird as a hero, I basically took a canoe paddle, and at the time it just so happened it was the perfect length since I was probably 3'10", and went on my longboard and just started stand-up paddling. And at that point it wasn't even a sport yet, it was just more kind of a novelty thing, and that's kind of the way I saw it. It was just like, well, if Laird's doing it, I should be doing it. It was just like whatever, a little kid would think of, their hero doing a sport or anything. It's just, monkey see, monkey do. Did that for a while and was always doing it just for fun in small, mushy waves. And literally I blinked and it was like, whoa, it's a sport and it's blowing up and celebrities are doing it and there's world tours for racing and, wave riding. And I just got a wild card into the first Sunset event, and it was just like crazy how fast everything just exploded. But started kite surfing when I was 9, kind of throwing it back a little bit, and then my first time I ever went to Jaws was when I was 16, and that was pretty cool because the thing with Maui is, and I think the reason why there's so many crazy, talented athletes and really gnarly charges is because you grow up on an island where when it's 70 feet, there's nowhere to surf but Jaws. Everything else is just whitewater. So at some point, you got to kind of grow up a little bit and either grab the rope or now make it that much harder, go paddle on our stomachs. And so I think growing up in that, you naturally, it's come accustomed to that as just a way of life. You're just like, oh, well, I'm gonna surf Jaws one day because that's what you do, right? Isn't that what you do? It's not like, it wasn't outside of our, thoughts for sure. But yeah, that's kind of, a short, brief story. And fortunately for me, stand-up paddling came around, and fortunately we have a wave tour and a race tour, and I'm able to compete in both and get taking surfing and kind of bringing it to other people and giving them that same sensation that don't have the privilege of living in Hawaii and having good waves. Because, good waves are awesome, but if you're not born, in the right place, you could be very limited. And everyone wants to be a surfer. Who wouldn't want to be? It's, the most unique, amazing sport in the entire world, and it's probably the closest thing to nature you can get to. So for somebody who lives, middle America and can grab a stand-up paddle, and go paddling around and get the glide and, feel like they're a surfer, man, that's the coolest thing in the whole world. And I mean, we can all agree on that stand-up paddling in any condition is really fun. So really, stand-up paddling is the coolest sport that I've ever done. And it's just like windsurfing and surfing and these other sports where there's no benchmark and there's no limit. It could always be better. And every session come in, there's always that little bit that drives you to go back and try to do that much better. Because I was actually talking to these guys right before, and I was like telling them, like, imagine in 20 years we're gonna look back and be like, man, we were such kooks. We couldn't even do like a 540 or something, or we were so slow at paddling. And that's just natural progression. And it's pretty cool. I can't wait to say that. That means I had a lot of fun in between now and then.
Well, Kai, I could agree 100% on what you were saying. Stand-up paddling is such an amazing sport. Anyone and everyone can do it and participate in it and have fun. I've been teaching surfing and windsurfing since I was 12 years old. Connor and I have done clinics all over the world from early ages at Peru, Mexico, Japan, Korea, Thailand, teaching the sport of windsurfing, and it's people enjoy it. People love to learn new things. But what's so great about stand-up paddling is anyone could pick it up, throw it on the water, jump on, and have a blast. Whether you're just cruising around on your butt with your little kid cruising on the nose, or whether you got your dog sitting in between your legs, you could have a good time and get a feeling, the sensation that you're surfing. That you're, one of those guys in the movies from Hawaii. And I think it's a really special thing that pretty much anywhere and that has a little bit of water, you can go and paddle. I mean, I remember being with Connor. We were up in Brazil, and we brought our inflatable stand-up paddle boards with the Waterman League up to this.
Sums up how great the sport is. That's the reason, big reason we're all doing it. But, as far as why I chose it as, something that I want to push and try to get better at and put all my time into was just simply how much fun I started having with it, Like, I was going out to these little waves that were like this big and just like trying tail slides and just thought it was the funnest thing ever. And I remember thinking, like, what if you could do a 360, like hit it and do like a reverse? Like, that would be so crazy. Like, it's just amazing how far it's come. And basically it's just, that feeling Kai's talking about, his first wave. It's that feeling you get when you land a big turn, and with stand-up, it was like you didn't have to do such a big turn to get that same feeling, and now it's kind of wearing off. So now, actually, I feel like I've done bigger turns than I've ever done shortboarding on my stand-up board. So now it's just gonna push it as far as we can, and that's the fun of it all. No boundaries.
Yeah, those are all super good reasons. Coming from windsurfing and surfing, it was a pretty good mix of both. You have a lot of speed, you're already standing up, you can catch it from farther out, and it was fun also, paddling out. It wasn't just lay on your stomach, kink your neck. You can, like this crazy kid, try backflips and land back on your board, jump over the paddle, do 360s, and it was just such a new, different thing that I've never tried, and at the time I just loved it. It was so stoked on it, and just all the combination of basically all these guys said, it's new, and just the love of the sport it's so awesome. But yeah, I'm stoked on it for sure, and just seeing where it's going already is pretty crazy, and can't wait to see where it can go for sure.
That's awesome, guys. Well, so obviously, the sport received a little bit of a resistance from like the core surf community, but I think, it's obviously been the same in all the different sports as they've come in. Something new is always something to fear. Obviously you guys are the leading ambassadors amongst all the guys on tour in the series, but you're ambassadors and setting a precedent. What do you feel is your message to everyone in the world regarding how to hold yourself, how to present yourself in the lineup, and how to show respect to others? What's been your kind of message to everyone?
That's a hard one. Paddling.
I think we've all kind of tried to push our limits and see what we can get away with now, and I feel like we're getting away with a lot more nowadays, but it just takes time of, being respectful, and, like the ways we surf now is the ways we grew up on. So, we're just trying to have fun like everyone else, and now the boards are small enough that we're not really like we're like more in the pack than outside of it, like there's no reason for people to not like what I'm doing, or, like telling me to go somewhere else because it's like, I don't know, it's just silly. But anyway, yeah, I mean, just be respectful. I think if everyone just respects each other and, what we got going on, then, there's never should be a problem. It's just all comes down to respect, I think.
It's a touchy subject, talking about the vibes between surfers and stand-up paddlers, boogie boarders and longboarders, snowboarders and skiers, like. But you look back in the old school snowboard days, it was the same thing with all the skiers. It's a new thing. There's a lot of opportunity coming to it, and it's a new motion. There's more people on the mountain doing it now. There's more people on the ocean doing it with stand-up. But bottom line is always have respect no matter what you're paddling out on. If you're going to be body surfing, longboarding, stand-up paddling, you don't go straight to the peak without saying hi to all the locals or without waiting your turn on the shoulder from all the way inside the channel. And it's a different story if you're Kala Alexander and you're at Sunset Beach, or if you're Makua Rothman and you're at Pipeline. The locals always have priorities. So that's something you always want to keep in mind too, wherever you're paddling out at. Spot out who the locals are and have respect for everyone out there, not just them. And but most importantly, you always want to have respect for everyone, and as long as you're having a good time, and I think people respect you for that, and that's pretty much the bottom line of it.
Yeah, it's funny because I think just like anything new, basically it's just met with scrutiny. I think that's just in general. I think that's just kind of human nature. So, I believe it's just going to kind of blow over one day and we won't even remember it, sort of thing. It's, for me, I pride myself on being a surfer first, and everything else is kind of, the spin-offs of just have respect. Just take your turn in the lineup. And the best thing, which I really enjoy about Tahiti, is no matter who you are, or, where you're from or what you're riding, when you go out to the break, you always kind of say hi to every single person there. And it's kind of like, a little, fist bump clap. And it just kind of breaks the ice between everyone. And basically, if you can just show your respect and just show that you're having a lot of fun and you mean no harm to anybody, because, out of surfing being the most fun sport in the world, everyone wants their wave. So it's, I think it's just about blending in there and, getting your piece, but then also sharing, because sharing's pretty cool.
Most definitely. Yeah, what Kai said and what we said before, and to add on to that, I think a huge rule that should be a key thing for everyone getting into the sport of stand-up paddling is just because you see a stand-up paddler out there in the lineup doesn't mean it's okay for you to paddle out there. You need to know your level, because there's a lot of guys who see, stand up, there's a stand-up paddler out there, I'm gonna take my board off my car, I'm out there. And you gotta know what your level is and what conditions you can paddle out in. Because if you see Kai Lenny out at Pavilions or whatever, or Connor Baxter out at Tavares or whatever, or any of our local spots, and it might seem like it's a good thing, but little do you know it's a tough current or crazy strong waves or gnarly rocks to jump off. And it's always good to know your environment. Every time you come to a new place, study the waves, study the beach, know a place you're going to come in and out of, and be aware of all your surroundings and the locals.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Everything is, just main thing. But back to respect. If you respect, all the other locals out there or whoever it is, even the people on the beach. If you start just taking your big stand-up board into the shore break and it's flying everywhere and it's dangerous, that's one thing. But if you're out the back and you're waiting your turn for waves, it's a different story. So like Zane said, really know your level, know the place you're at, and be aware of the people that are in the lineup first. Yeah, pretty much pretty similar goals there, I'd say. Obviously the world title is number one thing, in everyone's mind. But for me, in 2014, I really want to win an event overall. That's my goal. And yeah, I just have fun with everything, just really enjoy everything that we got going on. And, the amazing places we get to go to, just take it all in and don't take it for granted, and yeah, should be pretty fun.
Well, my goal is to win every single one of the tour stops. But besides that, on another note, I want to be able to push myself, like I've never been pushed before, physically and mentally, and get my head straight for the competitions and for everything. And I also want to put big goal for myself for this year is to put myself into the world more, and be able to share the sports that I love with the world, and be able to not only expose myself and let the world know who I am, but also what we love to do and why we do it. Because each of us up here live such an amazing life, and each of us up here, everybody in the world wants to hear our stories, and we've all lived lives of many people already, going to all these different places and experiencing different cultures and meeting so many special people. And yeah, so I forgot what the question was. Goals. Goals for 2014. Well, if you haven't heard of Stand Up for the Cure yet, another big goal of ours is to expand the sport is more than we already have. Stand Up for the Cure, we've broken the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest stand-up paddle lesson in the world. And back the last 2 years, we've had over 600 people on the water learning the sport. And I think that's really, I want to give back to the communities, and that's another goal of mine is being a part of Stand Up for the Cure, because we're able to give back to people and save people's lives. And it's all for breast cancer awareness. We give mammograms to people who can't afford it, and we scan for melanoma skin cancer there on the beach, and we've actually seen
good days out at Jaws, this past entire winter season. I'd say 5 of those were really good, and just experience that and kind of the more spiritual side, which I believe big wave surfing is kind of all about, and that kind of just inspired me to want to inspire others to just kind of follow their dreams and, have people hold true to what they really want to do. And so every time I talk to somebody, I'm always really, really stoked to see their stoke, and that rubs off. And so I think this year's going to be probably the best year of my life, because I'm going to be competing with these guys and the rest of the world's best, and to try to defend the world titles that I so very much cherish.
Well, thank you, guys. I now want to throw it down to the crowd. Do we have any questions that you're yearning to ask these young champions? So yeah, we'd like to ask about video projects. Do you guys have anything going on, and what is happening in that regard?
Well, I'll start it off. Basically, have this amazing movie project going on right now, and it's including these guys and many of the other best stand-up paddlers in the world. And it's a great name, the Sup Movie, very original, but it's basically wanting to showcase how fun our sport is. And that's something that I've really wanted to work on for a while now. And this year it's going to become reality and basically show the world how awesome the sport is and how much fun it is and what you can do with it. And basically how crazy you can get with it too. Just show the progression of this brand new sport and basically, dialing it in. I just want to make people leave the theater just really excited to go out there and just do it. They want to, it's nighttime and they want to go out and do it right then. And the best part is we're kind of just filming now and we're getting better and better clips for the movie that are just going to be absolutely amazing and stunning. Already, the big wave stuff that we've accumulated is just unreal. It's pretty mind-blowing, and there's a lot of guys that have some amazing images already stacked up. So I think it's going to be a treat for me to watch it at the end and get really psyched up. I mean, that's the whole purpose, is kind of make a movie that just motivates you to want to go out there. And also on the best equipment, red cameras, phantom cameras, and helicopters filming other helicopters. Basically, we have all the best equipment at our disposal, and I think it's going to make for a really amazing cinematic feature. And I think it's going to kind of put stand-up paddling on another level, because everyone's coming together to make, something that's so precious to them, something that everyone can visualize and be a part of. And so really excited for everyone to see it. But yeah, special thanks to Johnny DeCesare in the back for being the one to motivate it all.
We're losing rotation here. Where's it going?
All right, yeah, basically what these guys said, shooting with Maddie has been great, and Poor Boys, it's really exciting, everything that's going on with them. And, I'm working on a few projects with Ocean Paddler TV, so, just trying to get as much out there as I can. And, yeah, really excited to try to, step it up and, try to keep up with these guys' clips they're getting, because I've seen a few of them, and they're pretty sick. So I'm going to try to be getting better and better clips, and, trying to keep up with these guys again.
Yeah, same thing. Only real big thing going on is the Sup movie. It's going to be pretty cool. I mean, from what these guys said, it has the best of the best athletes, and that's really what it's going to show. And it's not going to be, a beginner thing. It's going to be all of us, from surfing to racing, and where we're taking the sport and where it's going. And it's really gonna put stand-up not only a dot, but make that dot a lot bigger on the map. So we'll see what it does, and it should be a pretty sick movie.
Awesome, guys. So any more questions from the crowd? Any personal questions for the guys? Which wave is the worst wave on the tour? Most difficult. Thank you, Anthony.
The only event I really haven't gone to is France. It seems really cold, and every time I've seen it, it wasn't, sunset barreling or Abu Dhabi, warm, sunny with sunglasses, because you can't lose the glasses. I don't know. I haven't surfed there because it seems really cold, and I don't like wetsuits, so maybe that spot.
That's a hard one. They're all pretty fun. Wave-wise, Brazil was pretty tough. The waves there were pretty tricky, but excited to go back and check out this new spot. And
Say that all the spots are pretty difficult in their own right. Sunset Beach is an unruly, it's a perfect wave, but it's very unruly and very powerful, and you can easily get really unlucky and not make your heat. And so Sunset Beach itself is really hard, but at the same time it's really good. Brazil, really hard because the waves can be pretty small, but at the same time it offers some of the most progressive stand-up paddling in terms of aerials and different types of turns. And so basically where I'm getting at here is each spot is pretty difficult, and I think it's just about cracking that code on which one, which is the formula for that spot. Because I think if you're just adaptable and you were able to ride each of these spots at at their best, it really does benefit you at the end. And I think that's been kind of one of the things that I've kept in mind going to all these places is I know each wave is difficult, and if I can just adapt as quickly as I can to it, they all of a sudden become really good. And for some reason, as much times as I get to surf really good waves, I do really love terrible waves. Like, there's so much fun on a stand-up because you can just... A bad wave that's knee-high whitewater is some of the funnest stand-up paddling there is, and it's the truth. So, yeah, all the waves on tour, they're really hard, but at the same time, they're really good and really fun.
Awesome. Awesome, guys. So we're going to wrap this in a second here, but I had one last question. Obviously, you guys are tight. You're from Maui. You travel the world together. But now stand-up is so global, and we're seeing so many different nations coming into the sport that are super intense. Any particular, the fiercest competitors that you face on the world tour, other than yourselves?
No, you gotta start it, bro. You can't break the rotation.
I already went. No, okay, well... Basically, to sum it up, anybody can have a really good day. I don't think it's really one person is going to be dominant. I think each spot you go to, people are, in tune with that area. The Brazilians, obviously, in Brazil, really have, a stronghold over there. Hawaiians in Hawaii, Californians in California. So I think the reality is that everyone's really progressive now and really good, and every heat's a final, and that's the way it should be.
Guy I look up to keep up with, and it's amazing to see the dedication that these guys have on the race boards. And for the surfing side of things, as we're here for now, you can't underdog anyone because everyone's showing up and blowing up, and you're like, oh, who the heck is that guy? That was sick. Are you kidding me? Like, wow, this guy came out of nowhere, and it's happening left and right. So in the surfing world, though, I'd have to say I'm keeping an eye on Kai, and I'm keeping an eye on Robin Johnston and a lot of the locals, especially. I want to be able to learn from them, and so I'm going to be watching their heats, and I'm excited to get back in the water. I tell you what, that's about it.
Yeah, everyone's pretty scary with a paddle in their hands. No matter if it's racing or surfing, all these guys up here are probably, I'd say, the fiercest. And it's everyone, like they're saying, everyone is surfing really good and stepping up. And every time I paddle out for a session, especially out here at Sunset, I'm like seeing bigger turns than I've ever seen, done. And I'm like, oh, okay, got to step it up. Everyone's just really pushing the limits, and that's the fun of it all, that everyone's pretty fierce.
I'd have to say these three guys right here. These guys here, that's why it's called the Maui Magic. We have some of the best in Maui and always on the top. I mean, I feel like every competition, either Kai or Zane or Cody or myself, will be somewhere up or close to the top. So I'd say these three guys would be my biggest competition for sure.
I want to say something about this guy right here. Cody has impressed me big time last year, especially. But his level of surfing has just bumped up a few notches really quick. And growing up with these guys, we all grew up surfing together and windsurfing together and stuff. And Cody's really just made a presence in the scene here at stand-up paddling, and he's also a guy I'm looking out for. I didn't want to leave you out.
So that about wraps it up for this evening's talk story. Before we leave you, though, I'd like to remind you we do have $5 specials from Pacifico, so make sure you order your Pacificos at the bar, $5 specials. But we do have one more audience question from the lady in the front. Last chance, guys. Connor looks as though he's ready.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna try to not be explicit here and not let anything naughty slip out. Cruising down the only road on the North Shore, and you know we doing it big with the big boys, hitting big waves, riding, sliding all day, and you know we big all day, yeah. Worldwide, how we doing it? Cody by my right, and he's laughing it. Why? Who's that crazy Viking who came up here and told us to do this? Okay, now we're remixing with Kai. Oh, I got caught. Someone caught me.
Hello.
That's no fair.
Basically did everyone a favor just then. Who pulls the fittest chicks? Well, Connor has a girlfriend. Zane used to have a girlfriend. I don't know what's going on with Cody. He's pretty sneaky. As for me, yeah. My room number is 4. No, I don't know. I'm honestly probably a little oblivious, but I think all these guys can, pull some pretty hot babes. Zane, you're on the market again, right? Do you want to do a public service announcement for everyone?
Thanks, Kai. You the guy. Well, we some handsome buggers, that's for damn sure. I don't know. I would publicly announce my room number, but
I would for sure say that the most bold person here is probably Zane. Zane is not afraid to go up to anybody and strike conversation, which, I myself, and I don't know about these two, but I'm kind of a hair out when it comes to that. But this guy right here,